Hello, good. How are you?
Good. I was so excited to see what you were gonna wear.
Oh yeah, I don't not just kind of casual, not very dressed.
I love it. You look so good. I absolutely love your hair. I don't know how you do it all the
Thank-
time. Do you have any tips?
yeah, of course. Yeah. I let them set in these little pins, like
Okay.
alligator pins. I do my curls with like anything and everything. A curling iron, the shark, a curling wand, like you could do them with anything. And I just
Hmm.
let them sit in here and I usually go to sleep with my bangs out and then in some variation of a bun or something like that. And then I usually
Uh-huh.
just touch up my bangs in the morning or whatever. But this is quite fresh. This blowout is fresh.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so honored to have you on the podcast,
Of
honestly.
course, I'm
I was on a I was on a girls trip last week and I was telling some of my girlfriends, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interviewing some influencers this coming week. One of them's named MT and the one of the girls that I'm friends with was like, MT, is she dating a guy named Moonchild?" And I was like, "Yeah, she is." She's like, "I love her. She is so
Oh,
funny."
that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. I've done interviews like before a lot for like college magazine girls and stuff reach out to me, but this is my first podcast, right? Yeah, this is my first podcast interview, so very excited.
I was so excited. When I reached out to you, it was honestly on a whim. I was like, there's no way she responds to this. And I was at work. I'm an engineer during my day job.
Amazing.
And so I DM'd you when I was on my lunch break. And I was like, you know what? She's not going to respond, but I might as well shoot my shot.
Yeah, no.
And so I did. When you messaged me back, I literally like jaw dropped on the floor,
Oh,
texted all my friends. I was like, she responded. Like she's coming on.
that's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Your branding was so cute and it looked fun. So I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I want to do. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so I wanted to have you on because obviously like you're having your moment on social media
Okay.
with your influencer stuff and I just wanted to talk to you because I really like loved your page because you number one, I don't know if you know that you're funny, but like you're funny.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of satire, right?
Yeah.
I think in my mind I've always like known a little bit that this is so satirical, right? Like I've thought that and kind of thought that through and stuff. You never know if anyone's actually going to pick up on that and get that, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for picking up on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I indulge.
And it's so hard to like try and get that to come across
Yeah.
as like I love Paris Hilton
Oh yeah.
and I think she's a
Yeah.
genius. I just recently read her autobiography, crazy good book if you're interested in reading or an audiobook's a big audiobook gal.
Oh yeah.
But she talks about how people thought that she was so dim. And she's like, no, it is literally like a business plan for me to appear that way. Like it was all a
Yeah,
joke.
that's amazing. Yeah, totally. I've definitely known that about her, especially with the recent voice switching that people have been talking about her.
Hmm.
Because I know her stuff in like legislation, she's been switching her voice to be more serious, which is kind of sad
Hmm.
that women have to do that. But yeah, I have known that she has that underlying, yeah, she's a genius. She was original investor in a lot of plant-based meat products.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've always been fascinated with
Huh.
that. And she's like a very majority stakeholder in plant-based seafood.
Interesting. I didn't even know that there was such thing as plant-based
No, I
seafood.
don't think it's available to the public yet. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if I'll be trying that, but
Yeah, honestly, like I can get behind a plant-based hot dog because I'm not really sure what's in a hot
yeah,
dog to begin with.
yeah.
But a plant-based seafood product, I don't know. Is that better? Is that worse? I'm not really
Me
sure.
neither. Yeah, I like oysters and stuff. I think I'll be sticking to a regular oyster.
Yeah. So you live in New England and you're going to school in New England, right?
So, okay, so I went to school my freshman and then half of my sophomore year, so about a year and a half in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So, yeah, New England, and I was on the sailing team for that school and the whole thing. And then, but I'm originally from like the suburbs of Manhattan in New York. So,
Okay.
people think like,
That's what I was
yeah,
guessing.
yeah. People think like Long Island and upstate, but it's very much so downstate, like Westchester
Mhm.
County. So since I transferred out of my Rhode Island school and now
Okay.
I go to school right outside the city as
Mhm.
another small liberal arts school, and I'm living at home still because things just got intense and just to be blunt, like a bit more money making and stuff with social
Mhm.
media. And I was like, okay, I can't be like a student athlete and like half of my day was sailing. And honestly,
Mhm.
my journalism curriculum at my prior school was very much so traditional journalism.
Mhm.
And you can't really be a traditional journalist. You have to have these days, you have to have like a multimedia range
Right.
of skills. So, yeah.
So that's what you were majoring in, or that's what you are majoring in school is journalism?
Yeah, so at my school now, it's strategic communications and digital media. That's the title of the major, but with like a focus in journalism, right? So
Mhm.
I'm learning how to like produce and like broadcast, like, bigger scale
Mhm.
productions. Whereas at my old school, it was very like legacy media centered. It was basically all on, writing, selling a story to print, and
Mhm.
like print journalism ethics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that probably helped you play into at least some sort of narrative behind the Golden Coaster MT, which, by the way, how did you come up with that at handle?
Yeah, okay. So I started social media at like 15, 16 when a video of mine went viral.
Oh, wow.
And my handle was Maddie T Fab X 1,000, I think it was, because like that was like I was like 15 and I wasn't
Right.
using TikTok seriously or anything like that. But then, I kind of took that opportunity with that viral video and I thought to myself, okay, I need a new username because I was going by MT, right? I wasn't going by my full name, going by MT. So the Gold Coast, there's many Gold Coasts in the world, Australia,
Mhm.
California, but the one I was referring to is referenced from The Great Gatsby, the coast along Long Island, where it
Mhm.
was like the original New York City suburbs.
East Egg and West
Yeah,
Egg.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called the Gold Coast. And I grew up, even though I'm in Westchester, I grew up sailing on the Long Island Sound in between Long Island
Mhm.
and Westchester. So yeah, I sailed up and down the Gold Coast and I love that book. So that just, I don't know, that just came to mind. I was like, I like that. Yeah.
I also feel like your style is very much so like old money, very New England. Like, how would you classify it? I feel like it also falls in that realm of The Great Gatsby, not necessarily like the 20s
Funny.
era, but like just old money.
Yeah, I think I'd describe it as very, I mean, it's a simple word, but classic. I think it's like kind of a
Hmm.
classic funk because I do like my funky 70s pieces and like I'm a very colorful person still. So yeah, I think it's like classic funk, classic eccentric. Yeah, something like that I would describe it as.
Yeah, so do you have like a lot of inspirations that you pull from? Like, I imagine you having a Pinterest board of just tons and tons of like different pins of people's outfits and hair from like the 70s and like New England's old money. Like, what is your inspiration drawing from?
So to be honest, I have not held down a Pinterest account ever in my life. I probably had like five different accounts since I
Hmm.
was conscious of Pinterest, but I do love Pinterest, but the boards are everywhere in the abyss. I don't know where they are. But mostly I love I get my inspiration from saving the paparazzi and street style photos on
Okay.
Instagram, like those accounts that just repost all the stuff from like the 60s street photos and then like the 90s paparazzi stuff. I love all of that. So of course, like that consists of like CBK, right? And then, so
Mm-hmm.
I love her. And then also just like a lot of stereotypical classic basics like Audrey Hepburn, Grace
Mm-hmm.
Kelly. I love all the hair there and stuff. So yeah, I think those are my main inspirations. Kate Moss, a lot of stuff with Kate Moss. Jeez, how
Yep.
can I forget that name? Oh my God. A lot of stuff of Kate Moss. I have a lot of photo books of her and the
Mm-hmm.
90s models. Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you, so the video on what was the handle's name that went viral?
Maddie T X Fab 1,000. I think.
So you're posting on Maddie T X Fab 1000, and what are you posting like the same sort of content that you are now, or was it like completely different?
No, I mean, it was literally just like a 15-year-old girl. Like, I don't even, it was just 15-year-old me standing in front of the camera, like with a weird audio behind it. Like, that's what it was. I never really thought to myself, oh, I want to be like a TikTok influencer. It was like,
Hmm.
I love fashion and like, okay, I'm on this app all the time. The first videos that are up are literally me just standing there with the sound and like going like, you know. So that video that went viral, I was in a pink shift dress and literally just like sitting like this in front of a polo match, which I think definitely helped. That
Yeah.
definitely was why it went viral. I mean, like forget what I look like. And I was wearing huge cat eye sunglasses, right? Like it's not every day you see a 15-year-old sitting in front of, guys on horses or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that original content was nothing like what it is now.
It's so funny to hear you say that because I feel like that is what you post now,
Yeah,
which
I definitely still have those short videos of yeah, definitely. But when we talk about like get readies with me's and stuff like that,
hmm
it was nothing like that. Oh yeah, wait, this was this was the video. Yeah, this was the first video. It was just
that's amazing.
yeah.
That's so funny. See, now the thing is you say that that's like what typical 15-year-olds do. No, I feel like typical 15-year-olds are like making musicallys or like
Oh,
doing the Charlie D'Amelio dances. Like people were not doing what you're doing.
yeah, like yeah, I mean that one was definitely atypical, but the other ones were I don't know. Yeah, no, I was never, you're right. I was never dancing and like shaking my butt and stuff like that. Like that's what every was at the time. I would never did anything like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I was definitely in front of that camera.
Which is huge. I feel like there's a lot of people that are afraid to do that. Like you can tell how comfortable you are in front of the camera. Like I don't think I could even get up and record a video of me dancing and then put it on the internet and be like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I mean, I just have this like a very, and this maybe is like way too deep of a thing to think about when you're posting a video, but I have a very deep sense that like I really want to be in this industry and anything. I do like almost anything to like get
Mhm.
recognition, and so posting like a video of me dancing in like a 70s inspired outfit and just bopping around. If that gets me like a half percent closer to like
Mhm.
my goals, then so that's what I think about when I post and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard because you do like feel like a freak sometimes or whatever. But it's like I
So obviously you had like a viral video and then you started gaining probably some sort of following, but I feel like a following is different than an audience. I feel like now you have an audience. Like at what point did you realize people are actually like watching me for
Oh
me?
my God, that's a good question. So when I was younger and like, okay, this is now I'm like 16. I started doing lives one summer, like going live
That's so brave.
all the like all the time, every day, like every single morning. And I think that's what really picked up. Like these are like real dedicated, chicks, and they just were interacting with me like at a totally different level at that point. So yeah, I would
Mhm.
say then, like it was kind of maybe like 6 months into it. I love getting all the DMs. Like once I started getting a lot of DMs all the time, that's when I was like, this is like a community. These are like conscious people watching
Hmm.
my videos, right?
Yeah, they're not just
No.
bots.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so fun. And so you call your audience chicks. Did that come from somewhere or did you just make that up?
No, okay, I have to say, like, basic every little tagline and everything, a lot of the taglines I use have been inspired by somewhere or I've pulled from somewhere. So, Chicks, I heard, I believe it was like a live rendition of Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett doing, performing the song That Lady is a Tramp together.
Hmm.
And Lady Gaga replaced one of the lines of that song with chick. And so I was like, oh my God, I love that word. Yes, queen, queen. So I don't know, I just like started using chicks one day and then it just stuck. So yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. And then I was watching one of your videos recently and I rewatched it because I was like, did she just say meow?
Yes, yes.
Is that?
Yes, I've been meowing lately. Yes. I have two cats. I love cats. I love
Hmm.
cats so much. And I have before been saying meow in the comments, but I kind of
Hmm.
just started saying meow in my videos because, to be honest, it catches people's attention. You know, you just
Yeah.
start it in the beginning of the video, then like the chicks commented back in the comments, like meow back and stuff like that. So yeah, that one is not so fabulous. Maybe a little bit
I think it's hilarious.
stage
I love it.
driven. Yeah, thank you.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I do love a meow.
And so you were saying that you were full time in Rhode Island
Yeah,
as a full time athlete and a student, or I
yeah,
guess part time athlete, full time
yeah,
student, however you want to categorize that.
yeah.
So then you had this epiphany of, okay, I'm growing this audience. Social media can make me money. So you decided I'm gonna up and leave. Like it wasn't rooted in I don't want to dorm with other people. Like I saw your video and I was like, that's so fun. Like you don't want to leave my stuff in the shower. I was
No,
dying.
okay. So from the very beginning, when I moved to Rhode Island for school, I had a single dorm. I was all over that
Okay.
student accommodation center. I was
Oh,
all
yep.
over that, like I used what I got to my advantage and got a single room and got my car on campus, got a parking space. So yeah, I was quite comfortable in my existence in terms of those stuff. So the decision definitely wasn't rooted in anything like that because I have to say my experience at that school was like honestly quite concierge from a point of like everyone there, the staff there was very like mending, and then also I really do believe that everyone who was on the sailing team got a lot of special treatment. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
In sailing, that is just such a different sport. So obviously, New England has a lot of interesting sports that haven't really caught on to the rest of the society. I used to live in Boston, so I was a part of a sailing club, but did not do very well. It was like I was sinking my little boat every time that I was out on it.
Yeah.
So, how did you even get into that?
So I got into it kind of later on than most of these kids do, especially most of these kids that go on to have college careers start at
Hmm.
like way young. Like I think like 7 years old is when US Sailing says you could first get into a boat. That was not me. I was like double that. I was like 14, 13. My parents joined a new club, and at
Hmm.
the club they had a sailing program,
Hmm.
quite a small fleet. Now their fleet and their boats and their program is like is I'm jealous of my sister who's now grown up and like the program more developed. But yeah, so I was at this new club, and also this was like post pandemic, like we're still kind of in the pandemic, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know, I wanted to make more friends. I wanted to be outside. I was in this new environment. I told my parents that I wanted to, do the sailing. And then from there, from that summer, I was like totally, totally hooked. I loved it. Tried to
Hmm.
get involved with it in every aspect I could. Connections are everything. The head of my program knew and grew up with and was a member at basically the premier yacht club that was like kind of across the sound. It was like a boat ride away. Like I could see it from
Hmm.
my club. So he got me in their program, and I got like an honorary. membership. Like I was sponsored to sail with them. And then once I got
Because you were so good.
I don't think it was because I was so good. I think that maybe they liked my enthusiasm. Like they liked how charismatic I was and my I don't I wouldn't say that it stemmed from any such impressiveness of my skill. There was like kids there that were my age and like three times better than me. Like so you know what I mean? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that was such an amazing experience. I started doing frostbiting with them, which is sailing in the winter time. I started like
Mm-hmm.
working for them. I became a sailing coach. I was sailing people's actual yachts and racing them,
Oh,
which is
wow.
amazing. All of that was a really fabulous adventure. Guy that ran the program at that club grew up with what ended up being my college coach. So,
Mm,
all of these things worked out for me when it came to sailing, and everyone seems to know everyone with the
mm-hmm.
New England sailing scene. So, yeah, that.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. Like everything in New England is so small and so interconnected. I remember living in Boston and I would go out and meet someone and they're like, I'm talking to them about where I work, some of my coworkers. Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah,
I know them. I'm like, oh, oh, okay.
no,
Yeah.
that makes
So
that to me is like scary, intimidating, right? Like it's like, no, you don't know them. Like, let me just pretend like, we're just all removed and we don't have to, I don't, we don't have to be connected like that.
yeah, but there's also some comfort in that of like knowing that it's more of a community base because I live in Colorado now and everybody is so far removed from everybody. Everybody minds their own business, nobody knows anybody,
Mm,
and it is such a different feel and vibe than it is in New England.
yeah,
But honestly, girl, take advantage of those network
right.
connections.
Like,
Like, seems like you are.
yeah, I mean, obviously it got me somewhere, right? But
Yeah.
like, there might be something to say that a lot of New Englanders and people that are in New England and New York were like born and raised here,
Mm-hmm.
besides Manhattan. Would you say that a lot of people in Colorado are like from Colorado, or do you think that there's a lot of like influx?
It is definitely a melting pot. I grew up in Ohio, and I hate admitting that. I hate telling people, "Oh yeah, I'm from Ohio," because I'm nomadic. I've moved around a lot. Like
Yeah,
I've moved to so many different states, especially within this last year.
yeah,
But I feel like Ohio is not a melting pot. Like no one's moving to
yeah,
Ohio. And I feel like the people that are in New England stay
yeah,
in New England because they like all of the amenities, they like the people that they grew up with there, they know what to expect from the weather. But I feel like places like I moved to San Diego and Colorado, and those two places are both melting pots
yeah,
of people of all over. So you'll meet someone that's not from here, and then you'll meet another person that is from here, and you can tell the stark contrast
wow,
of people.
wow,
Of you can tell who's a native and you can tell who's not.
yeah,
And I feel like people, especially when I was living in New England, have some sort of New England patriotism
yeah,
that they're like, you will never understand because you did not grow up here. You did not vacation down Cape. You did
yeah,
not go to Nantucket for your summers. And like, there's just a part of you that will never understand. And that is very much so how I
yeah.
felt in New England.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I totally feel the same, and I see that. And my time in Rhode Island was just so beautiful, right? And a lot of those
Hmm.
kids are New England based, but the sailing really did attract a lot of people from California and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Was definitely in that scene of all those kids and everything like that. I have to say, being in New York, I didn't grow up going to the Cape and stuff like that. It's just recently that my parents are kind of exploring outside. We spent a lot of time vacationing in upstate New York. Like that was where my
Hmm.
parents just went upstate. They did not want, did not want to leave. But having a partner that grew up going to the Cape and Martha's Vineyard,
Hmm.
it has made me, been more interested in exploring these places now.
Right. You're broadening your New England
Yes,
horizons.
totally, totally.
So you're spending all of this time with getting on board with not a play on words there, but getting on board with
Yeah,
sailing and getting super involved in sailing and spending a lot of time sailing.
yeah,
And again, you're a part-time athlete, full-time student,
Yeah.
part-time content creator.
Hmm.
When, how did you make the time for it? Like, if you were doing these lives, obviously you said you were doing that when you were younger, a little bit younger, 16,
Yeah.
but you're still needing to train, needing to go to all these places. How did you manage all of that time?
It was very difficult, very difficult. However, I was told by a college sailor that I had met that like the key to everything is to have like an unshakable routine, like a super reliable routine that you could get your work done through it, you could get
Hmm.
your meals in through it. So I think I sort of fell into that at the end of high school and now in college, planning out your days, and even if your weekends look different, you're still holding on to that schedule, planning out when I did my work at the same time every day, which class I would focus on each night, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I had a different night for each class. Like my morning routine, like is something as simple as like having a tea every morning at this time, like just keeps me on track. So I think
Hmm.
that's how I was doing it, but it was definitely hard. But you have your like little anchors throughout the day that just like so you could cement and fall into your routine throughout the day, but also throughout the week, you know?
Right. And so as you're working and you have your schedule down and you're starting to realize, okay, I could make money off of this. I'm still spending a lot of time sailing. What was that conversation like either with yourself or with someone else where you were like, I think I have to give up sailing?
Yeah. So, okay. I came home my freshman year of college, right? And I realized that like I was getting up in the morning at like 6 a.m. to do these lifts and these runs. And then I would
Hmm.
be basically mandatory sailing every weekday from like 2 to sometimes as late as like 6:30 because we would sit there and watch videos of us sailing. And then on the weekends, I would be like on my like Thursday, Friday night, I wouldn't even know what I would be doing that weekend. I'd be waiting to hear what regatta I would be mandatory to go that
Okay.
weekend. So I just thought to myself that I'm about to sign on to a management agency, right? I was about to sign on to a management agency and start taking this more seriously. I think that my life is about to get a lot better if I focus on this aspect, this social media talent
Hmm.
aspect, than my student athlete career that was honestly draining me, right? And for a lot of
Hmm.
kids, the student athlete, especially in the sailing community, is like absolute life obsession. But I had so much more going on in my life and like to my character that
Hmm.
like the student athlete part of it did not was not my sole value and sole focus. So I just realized that this is so much more profitable and worth it in terms of happiness and like monetary.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I got home and I basically said, okay, I have to took the summer to think about it. I went back to school and I had discussed with Moonchild, my partner, and he was like, we'll talk about it. Like, I think you said like Thanksgiving. We'll talk about it at Thanksgiving. And I think I knew even before we set that little like date for myself that I was ready to start applying to other schools and stuff. I think it was just like a thought of where are my priorities? Where is my happiness?
Because I can imagine that I was not a D1 athlete, much to my father's chagrin. He really wanted me to be a collegiate softball player, which I was poised to do.
Amazing.
And I elected not to because I would rather party in college, which retrospectively, what did that get me? Nothing.
Experience. I got
And
experience.
experience, maybe, yeah. My networking skill is pretty impeccable. So when I look back on my college experience, what I think of is, okay, there were people. I majored in engineering, and I told my dad, I'm like, look, you're gonna get a college softball player and engineer, you're not getting both.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And there were people that were in my classes. My tutor was a football player. And I was like, how, first of all, how am I showing up to class every day and not knowing what's going on? You are doing your football schedule plus tutoring me and doing better than I am in the class.
Yeah, it's so hard. I
And
don't get it. It's
I'm just like I'm so amazed and impressed by student athletes and their ability to just
yeah,
perform, whether it's academically or physically, but it takes a toll on
yeah,
you. He was beat up.
yeah.
He mentally, physically, both.
Yep, totally. Especially because you're like 18, you know? You're like
Mhm.
sometimes barely 18. Like I was freshly 18 years old going into college like that. So yeah, it's very impressive. It's wild. They have to say that end of my first year, I was already experiencing knee issues. Like I was already, my knees were already hurting from sailing and the wear and tear. This is like a Title IX concern, but like I did not want to tell anyone that my
Mhm.
knees were hurting, and I didn't want, if I went to the trainer, that the trainer would then tell my coach or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a harsh, really hot environment like that. It's very
Right.
impressive. And yeah, I think, my partner Moonchild is a Division 1 diver and he's a double major, right?
Slay.
And he always says, and he's had an injury and he's gotten a surgery throughout his career, a surgery that he waited to get until after his season, which is crazy,
Mhm.
right? But he's always said that he doesn't want to, in these guys that are these swimmers, injure your body too much to the point where that it's affecting the rest of your life, because it's not like you're professional. It's not like these guys are going pro. You're hurting your body and you might even be hurting your mind for these
Mhm.
4 years of a collegiate career, right? It's like not worth it in the grand scheme of things, because it's not like they're gonna get like Olympian notoriety for it, right?
But it's so hard to come to terms with that of accepting that like this is not what's permanent because unlike you realizing when you're 15 like this video performed well because of the polo players and I'm going to do live streams when I turn 16 so that I can gain my audience like people don't necessarily have the far sight of seeing what's in the long
Yeah,
term. And so many athletes, especially collegiate athletes that just from my friends specifically and people that I know in my life, they had such a hard time coming forward with any
yeah,
injuries, not only because they were afraid that they were going to get benched, but they thought, okay, if I get benched and I have this injury that could potentially be seen as an issue for next
yeah,
season, I might not get my scholarship
yeah.
next season.
It's very sad and unfortunate. It's totally, yeah.
And then you also bear the risk, especially I'm sure that you as well as Moonchild probably had some inner conflict of you're an athlete, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be tough. Why you don't want to complain, you don't want to seem
Yeah,
weak. Whether it be with how much is on your plate in terms of schedule or what your body is physically doing, like it is both so humbling to kind of eat those feelings and then revisit them post the fact of being like, why did I not speak up during the season or why did I not do whatever, whatever, whatever.
yeah, yeah, totally. It's a hard pill to swallow all around. It's overwhelming, especially when you're so young and there's these young kids coming in, and as I said before, like for a lot of people, it's totally their sole purpose, their single
Mm-hmm.
thing that like defines them, even like what even outside of academics. Like, a lot of these kids don't really care about academics very much. Right, you know what I mean? So
Oh, 100%.
yeah, yeah. It was an interesting time. I would always tell my best friend, like before I was leaving, because she was graduating early, I was transferring out. Um, that was always and will always be an interesting and strange anecdote of my life. Like if it was a book, it would be like a few pages of just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Like actually was a college athlete for a year. Like that was so weird of me. Okay, next. Like how did I do that? Okay, next page. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's just a very interesting niche anecdote of my existence on Earth, and yeah, a talking point, right? Just
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you can potentially network your sister into getting a spot somewhere now that you're so well connected in the community.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I did all of that. It's strange.
But I think with that and that structure of extreme rigid timeline of how you're scheduling your days,
Yeah.
of I have to be up at this time to do training, I have to go to classes at this time, and I have to create
Yeah.
content at this time. So now that you've sort of rebranded away from, at least personally, your personal branding has gone away from being an athlete,
Yeah.
and now you're focusing more on content. And I saw you into
Yes.
Subway, which like all of your jokes about I never get invited anywhere, like I don't know why I even care about this. And I see you at the Subway event, and then that audio just rolls in my head, and I can't help but laugh to myself.
I know.
Um,
Me too, girl. Me too. That audio's rolling in my head when I'm there and I can't help but laugh. Yeah.
So how does that happen? So it seems like to me, like as an outside spectator, it's so funny because I know so much about you and you know seemingly nothing about me, which I think is funny. You might be like, this is really off-putting and weird, but
Yeah.
um, so you go from being a student on what I see, you go from being a student and then all of a sudden you're at this like influencer event. Like how does that happen?
Like in a day, or you're saying like the process with my talent agency, or like,
So I guess
sorry.
from what I'm seeing on my side is you're going from one really arbitrary point to another like completely different point. And
Yeah.
just connect the dots for me on your end, how you even got there.
Okay,
So
sure.
you leave school,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm done sailing. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm gonna sign with a management
Yeah.
agency. What is that? How did that even come about?
Okay, amazing. Okay, so that summer that I left my freshman year, right? I was with Moonchild. Moonchild is involved in every single drop of everything, right? Like I
Oh no, I know. Management run by Moonchild. Hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, so we were just hopping on a bunch of management calls with people, with, agencies in California, international agencies, all of that. Because over the years and stuff, a lot of those agencies and people have been reaching out to me, right? And I've been like, not interested because I got the advice from a lot of from a few influencers to do it on my own for as long as I could, but it's very hard with outreach and inbound sponsorships and stuff to manage that, and for especially for me, for people to see me. So I was like, okay, it's time to look into management. So I signed with the international management agency that summer, last summer. Went back to school, in September for the fall semester. During that fall semester, I was doing some good work, like sponsorship with Shark. My manager was bringing me like a good amount of work, and then I got myself casted in HBO's The Gilded Age
What?
as a featured extra that was filming in Newport, and Newport, Rhode Island was about like 30 minutes away from where my
Okay.
campus was.
School.
So then, like, I was spending like all my time, too much time, on the set of Gilded Age, HBO.
Right, as one does, naturally.
So I ended up there. And throughout that, applying to schools or whatever, settled on my New York school, moved out before Christmas, started my new school in New York, and moved back in home. And from then, I've just been, hammering online and joking about it that I never don't get invited to any fashion things or anything like that. I would always, every management call I would hop on with my manager, I would tell her, go with my invitations,
Preach, so true.
So, and I'm always something about me that I always want to work. I always want to work when it comes to social media. I want to do all the things. I want to take all the photos. I want to do all the videos. So when the Subway offer came in, which I now know that the girls at the management agency that is based in Chicago, that is working with Subway PR, they're chicks. So
I love
I
that.
guess I suspect I suspect and I kind of are confirmed that they are the ones that put me,
Source the deal.
yeah, for that. So yeah, so then I got the Subway deal to be a Subway partner, and they were doing this 5-course Subway event at a studio in the city, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I've got, let me preface myself. I actually have gotten one invitation before for a one-night influencer trip in the Hamptons. I did.
Okay.
However, that fell through on my end and for like personal family reasons. So I can't say that this was my first ever invitation. So yes, I've had one invitation before. But anyway, so this was amazing, and we were sitting across from Subway PR North America, head of PR North America. I was
Hmm.
sitting next to the Subway. If you ever wonder who's doing the social media, it's a fabulous man. It is the most fabulous
Love.
man. I was sitting next to him, and we talked the whole night, and I had a blast. It was like my moment to shine. I was having such a great time. And honestly, I do not care that it's not fashion or anything like that. I was like, this is my best possible introduction into like living in the scene, you know what I mean? That
Hmm.
I could ever have had. It was amazing. Did I talk to a single influencer? No.
Period.
But but the Subway people I talked to all night, like they're
Yeah, because those are your homies. Those are your
yeah,
chicks.
yeah, they were amazing. Like I was not missing talking to the New York City influencer girls that were sitting down the table. I was in we were talking about it, and Charlie, we were like, was this intentional that we're sitting with all the Subway people? We were like, this is awesome. Like, yeah, I was not missing anything. So yeah, that's how that came to be. And now I'm gonna do a paid partnership for them video and hopefully some plans for stuff in the future with them.
That's awesome. And I saw your go-to sandwich. I literally sound like the biggest creep right
No,
now,
no,
but
no. I'm the same with other people. Like this is what social media influencers are. Don't yeah.
but I was like, your little sandwich was a ham and cheese toasted after tennis tournaments. I was like, that was literally me after softball tournaments. And because I like have such an opposition to any sort of like condiments in terms of like ranch, mustard, ketchup, pass. No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a big ranch or anything like that, girl.
No.
Ketchup belongs on fries, not on my sandwich. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've like literally always been a Subway girl. Though my father has tried. It's like it's wild, and my comments are this is so random, but I love it. It's like that's what I feel. This is so random, but I love it. My father has tried to buy Subway franchises like probably like 5 times in my lifetime. Like he is my parents are
What?
very Subway believers. My parents love, they're two attorneys that eat Subway. They love Subway and they want,
I love
like
it.
they up Subway. He wants to own one. Like I grew up on Subway for tennis, sailing, everything like that. So it was quite serendipitous.
That is so hilarious. Yeah, I love that there's like some sort of brand loyalty and that you're not promoting something that like you don't enjoy. Even if it was like an event that seems random, like it's an event to go to. Who cares?
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, if he's, it's like different, I think that sellout and stuff like that for me would be something that's more in terms of like Shein, like that is. But when it's like an actual, like, this is an actual established brand with like a
Mhm.
good product and stuff like that. I don't look at it as being like something too random or something that makes me feel too like sellout-y. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cuz I'm sure you know who Pookie and Jet are.
Yes, yes, yes.
And they got so much backlash for promoting a barbell protein bar
Oh,
because like she was supposed to be like the it girl
yeah.
and she's promoting like this protein bar so it got like a ton of flack. I'm like, what,
Yeah.
since when do the audience care what's being catered to
Yeah,
them?
no,
What?
that's like that is a really good point. And it's not like they're like with the whole I think it was she and the whole thing where they're touring the like factories that are like the fake factories. Did you see that? That
No, what is it?
okay, so I think like a year ago, a group of influencer girls were brought out to an Asian country. I'm not sure which one. And there was
Okay.
they toured these fake Shein factories that were set up like a PR event. And they were like, see, like there's no child abuse or like everyone's happy. Like this isn't a sweatshop. But it was like literally like a fake factory, a fake
Yeah, a
assembly line,
front.
right?
Like, what's that show? Oh, no, the movie, The Interview
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
It was like that with the stores. Okay, okay, okay. I'm
It
tracking.
was like that with the factories. And so all these girls are posting up like, oh, I'm in the Shein factory, like blah blah. And it's like this whole like giant like white thing that it like looks so fake. Like there's it's impossible that you're telling me that that amount of clothing is being made in that factory. Like it's you know what I mean? So anyway, it's
Yeah.
not like they're doing stuff like that. It's literally a protein bar. Like you know, it's
Yeah.
that is so that
It's not non-ethical.
yeah, no, exactly, exactly. That's a very short-winded way of me. Look, this was them at the Shein factory. Like
Oh my.
they're literally working. Like they're just like everyone else working. Yeah.
No, no. Why did they think that was
I
okay?
I don't know. You know, it's probably a lot of money or something like that. But it's a protein bar. It's a sandwich. It's a sandwich that I actually grew
Yeah.
up eating. If anyone has anything to say about it, I don't give a heck because yeah.
Don't give a heck.
I'm having a blast making connections, making money.
We're not like it's not Nike. We're not having a partnership with Adidas. Like it's not a crazy
Yeah,
idea.
I know. Yeah, I don't get it. It's wild. And I have been, and Moonchild can vouch for me. I've been quite like exclusive and stuff in the past, like deals. Like, I mean, I remember it was like hard for me to even take a deal with Princess Polly clothing, right? You know, so it's like I do my best. I've done my best. It's something. Subway is awesome.
Yeah. And I watched the Martha Stewart documentary, which if you haven't watched, I highly recommend
Yeah,
it. She's a queen.
yeah. I need to watch.
She was the initial influencer ever, like absolute boss
Yeah,
woman. And she, I want to say partnered with Kmart,
yeah.
either Kmart or like some other store of a similar caliber. And everyone was like, ooh. And her brand then grew exponentially. So I don't understand why people make those sorts of comments, or like you'll have kind of the pop culture media reviewers that are on TikTok and they're like, it's a really bad look for Pookie and Jet. I'm like, says who? What are you
Yeah.
talking
And
about?
also it's like you can't be so unattainable all of the time. Like Pookie and Jet can't
Hmm.
be like, oh, they're only ever supposed to post up and advertise Gucci and stuff like that. Like no, like
Hmm.
you want to be a relatable and tangible like that. And like if you could eat the same protein bar that Pookie and Jet is, then that brings them like that much closer to a relatability aspect. You know what I mean? And like same for
Hmm.
Martha Stewart. How was she ever supposed to expand her audience if she wouldn't have you know went into maybe like a little bit lower of caliber of products like it's business and that would be such a dumb business decision to only stay in this like upper echelon place that makes you so unattainable and unrelatable.
Exactly. And so now that you've gone to your first event, I'm assuming that you probably have more things in the works. Like what does the future of the Gold Coaster MT look like?
Oh my God. I like I said before, I want to do everything. I really want to try everything. My big goal is I'd love to have a real campaign. You know what I mean? Like an in studio campaign. That's my goal. And
Hmm.
every partnership I take and every move I make, I hope gets me closer to that. Like I want to have a real, like a long-term partnership with a brand. And of course, like I have my ideas in my head of who I want that to be. I mean, I don't know why has nobody picked me up for anything like hair yet? Like that'd be so that'd be so
Honestly, trust me, where are you at?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the future is just taking every opportunity that is granted to me and staying true and authentic. And I have a mouth and I have a lot of opinions and stuff. And that is never gonna change. I always want to get online and say what I want and be who I want. And I think like in terms of like future. I want to write a book. I think I really want to do like creative direction and like production on a lot larger scale, like behind the scenes. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that. I I want to do it all. I just want to see how far I could get,
Yeah. It's awesome and it's so ambitious and it's so great to see that you have a partner that is so supportive, beyond supportive, your manager.
I know.
Like that's so awesome. That is such a rare thing to have, especially I feel like with the what happened with Brianna Chicken Fry and Zach Bryan of her not being able to have her own life and do her own
Yeah.
thing. Like you having a supportive partner is so refreshing.
Yeah, I'm a very lucky girl, and it was very awesome that we've lived like both sides of it now. That I went away to college. Like he stayed in New York, he stayed in the county that we're from for
Mhm.
school, and I was the one that went away for college. And we had that long distance experience and living very much so two separate lives as like busy athletes and stuff like that. And could stay in love, right? Through that.
Yeah.
But then, and also now, like being back together and stuff as equally as in love and everything like that, and that the relationship works in both aspects. So yeah, I'm very lucky and very very grateful for everything he does for me, which is plentiful. And a lot of it is teamwork, but
Mhm.
it's great.
It's nice to have somebody that, like, if you're having an off day, keeps you accountable.
Yeah.
And I imagine, like, that's probably good and bad some days.
Yeah, he drives me. He drives me a lot, and he was very much so the driving force behind starting to make money on TikTok. And I made it sound stupid, but like bringing it to my attention, right? That this is very much so like profitable, and
Hmm.
yeah, this is gonna sound crazy, but when I was younger, there's a Lana Del Rey song for free. It's about how, which like, okay, girl, this is taking okay, love for Lana too seriously, but
The thing is, every Lana listener loves Lana too seriously, so you're fine.
yeah. So I was like, how I took the song is it's about how the artist that was not making money off of like her music was happier, and the artist that was making money was like not so happy. So I was like, okay, Larry, I'm not making money off of TikTok. Me at 15, like I'm never making a cent off of TikTok because this is my art. No, girl,
I'm so dead.
for so long. Like, are you sure about that? I was like, no, I'm not making a sound of TikTok. How could I ever profit off of my chicks or whatever? No, no, that that is not the way the world works, girl. And also, to be honest, okay, Moonchild, love you. But Audrey Peters, she made a video saying like, I don't, it's like a kind of an infamous video, not maybe not infamous, but famous video. She says like, think about how much you think your favorite influencer makes and triple it. That's how much they make. Like the amount of money in the influencer sphere that's going around is like astronomical. No one would ever believe like this is what's funding these lifestyles and everything like that. And like being firsthand on the floor, like I am seeing that like it is genuinely true.
Hmm.
Like think of it and triple it. It's actually genuinely true. Thousands of dollars, like everywhere. Well, honestly, if you have I mean, I hate to say in such like casual terms, but it will be thrown at you. Like it really feels like they're just like
Yeah.
throwing out money to get people to post and stuff, these brands. Totally. I mean, yeah.
Because, I mean, you have to think, like, Fortune 500 companies are billion-dollar
Yeah.
companies
Yeah.
that have petty money that we, as average American citizens, deem as unfathomable
Yeah.
amount of money. And it's just like
Yeah.
$100,000, $200,000. And they're like, what is
Yeah.
that? 20 cents to
No,
us?
exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's a drop in the
Yeah,
hat.
exactly. So, and that's what they're feeding these influencers right now. And
Hmm.
you hope, and I like you only think, and people tell me that it's only gonna get bigger from here, right? Like
Hmm.
the value in it is only gonna grow, right? So the future of media is social media and these influencers and all of that, like television and legacy media, kind of what I touched on before, is not where the
Hmm.
money's being made. So I'm happy to have
No.
my hand in the pot, even if it's just across all my platforms now, I probably have a total of like 350,000 followers, and I am very happy with the amount of money.
Which, by the way, I think when I asked you to join the podcast, you had 20,000 followers on Instagram, and then you are at 50 now. And I'm like, wait, she got 30,000 followers in like 2 weeks.
Credit Moonchild.
Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. Going back to making money off TikTok and making money off social media, what were your thoughts like when TikTok was going to be banned? Slash, what are your thoughts that it's going to stick around?
Okay, I have to say, and like for as much as like OCD, anxiety, like or freak out that I have about everything else in existence, I was like, okay. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I was like, okay, like I was like, okay, okay, saddy, losing my 200,000 chicks. Like I was like a little bit saddy, but I was not like this is the end of the world, I have to say.
Meanwhile, Moonchild is stressing over how we're going to rebuild your audience on
I know.
Instagram.
So yeah, I think like the only thing that I felt about it was kind of sad. But I was never
Okay.
feeling like freak out, oh my God, this is the end, anything like that. Like
Hmm.
I'm never making any money again. I'm never, something in me was telling me that like okay, I'm gonna see my chicks on Instagram, like it's whatever. So yeah,
We're just switching
yeah,
platforms.
exactly. Yeah. And I was also like thinking to myself, okay, this is the push I need to start YouTube. That's what,
Yeah.
yeah,
Long form content. I mean, if you want to be that movie director, you got to start
I know.
somewhere.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, that's how that went. I was all right. And who, I mean, it might be gone in another few months. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
be okay. That's what I think. I think we'll be okay.
So it looks like to me that like, obviously you have a huge discrepancy in the TikTok followers versus Instagram followers, probably due to your live video streaming era that you went through. What is like, how do you post? Like, are you primarily worried about TikTok? Are you primarily worried about Instagram? Do you treat them the same?
Okay, so I definitely don't treat them the same. Let's just put it this way. The Gold Coaster MT Instagram is Moonchild's problem. The Gold Coaster MT TikTok it's my problem. It's not even a problem. Like that's the golden child, you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
I like to edit in TikTok. I like to film my videos in TikTok. So when I'm gonna make a video, film everything, edit everything in TikTok, it gets posted, and I'll either save it to my camera roll before or after I post it to TikTok, and then Moonchild sits down like almost every evening with the two phones and airdrops everything that all my content that I've saved on my phone to his phone,
Mhm.
and then he posts it on the Gold Coaster MT Instagram account.
So he doesn't use the content that you're posting on TikTok. Like he doesn't save from TikTok and then just use it on your
Oh,
Instagram.
no, he does, but
Okay, okay.
it's all already saved on my phone. You know what I mean?
Okay. I didn't know if you meant that he's also doing the
No.
editing and doing like
No, no,
okay.
no. Yeah. So like, yeah, before I post it or after I post it, like, and post editing, that includes post editing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I save it and then he transfers it. So yeah, it's the same content, it's the same editing. However, I have to say, sometimes if my videos are too long, especially when a quick like story of my life video, and I got like 800,000 views, and everyone was like, "You've always been so have like a perception that just because you dress older, maybe you dress more modestly, and I do my hair in a very vintage style, like no matter what style it is,
Hmm.
then it's been like quite a vintage look. They perceive that as being much older. But even if you are
Hmm.
perceiving that as being much older, you don't have to say all those things in the comments and stuff like that.
No. England style.
Oh
It
yeah,
was preppy, it was J. Crew, it was Madewell, and I was eating that shit up.
yeah,
My mom and I were at J. Crew, we were at Madewell, we were at Banana Republic, we were running up a
yeah,
tab.
yeah.
And I remember I would wear or I think they might have been cheetah print
I
flats.
mean,
And I was wearing
yeah.
them and this boy I was sitting next to on the school bus goes, "Why are you wearing those?" I was like, "Cuz I have class." And he's like, "What class do you need to wear those for?" And I was like, "Oh my God."
Just so awful. That is so awful. First of all, eat. First of all, eat. I would literally wear that right now. That those flats sound cute as hell. No, okay. Boys in general just don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's like, stop looking at me. Why do you care about what's on my feet? Why do you care what's on my
First of all,
feet?
why are
You're
you
looking
looking
at
at
me.
me? Look away.
Yeah,
Look
I
away.
know.
It's not for you.
Yeah, why do you care what I'm wearing? And that even goes for some girls, right? Like I don't know. It's ridiculous to pass judgment on something like that, and a cute vintage style. It's like you just don't get it. And I have really, really at a point where I think I like sit in comfort, and I love to use the word freak, that like, okay, like I am a freak to a lot of people, and like I like that. I literally don't care, you know.
Hmm.
That's how I feel. Like, okay, if me wearing my, bedazzled flats, if you think that is so weird that I wear that to class, because I literally do wear that to class, I don't give a hell,
I
because
love that.
I don't give a hell, because first of all, my professors think it's fabulous. My professors eat it up, and those are really the only people I care about. 'Cause
And first of all, you peasants couldn't relate.
like yeah, it's like it's whatever. Yeah. With that being said, you post my stuff for like people to look at and stuff. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I really do not care what my peers are wearing. So why do they
Hmm.
care what I'm wearing? Like I think some people, I just talked about in this video, like it may be hard to understand that, okay, like I'm giving my fashion opinions, but I'm also saying that at the end of the day, wear whatever you want and I don't care. I could see how that is hard to understand, but for some people, like I said,
But I feel like that's as straightforward as it gets. Like I this is what I feel comfortable in. I have found my personal style. I want you to create your own personal style,
yeah.
which is all of the rave right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I do say that I've been saying that, and yeah, I still see on the snark pages and stuff like that, and I have gotten DMs calling me a hypocrite, and that I'm shaming other girls in college for not for wearing leggings and sweatpants to class. It's like I've said in so many videos, I literally do not care what those girls are wearing. But
Hmm.
I'm still sharing my opinions and my content. I'd be a
Hmm.
shell of nothing if I didn't not tell you what I think of what I was thinking. Why would anyone watch me if I didn't have any opinions, you know?
Right. And I feel like what you said initially, it was like, I have opinions, I'm going to share them.
Yeah.
I have a loud mouth, I'm going to use